好，欢迎来到一起聊新创最懂新创的 podcast， 我是 Hank。那今天非常荣幸能够邀请到 Nelson 从德国来。那因为他只会讲英文所以我们以下就由英文来开始进行讨论。Right, Nelson, I'd like to say hello to our audience.
Thank you everyone, and thank you for having me here today.
Okay, thank you. Nelson actually is a branding strategy expert, helping the Fortune 500s for the many successful story. So let's start with that. Tell us a little bit your background, why you become an expert as today.
Okay, that's a good question. First of all, I need to say that I'm thankful and I was privileged that I had the possibility to have worked for this Fortune 100 companies. Some of the top world leading companies and brands. I'm very thankful for this, and it's one of my assets that I learned. And I managed many global leading brands in the past from big global corporates. There are many of them that are brought to leadership, but there's one that we were just discussing before the meeting. It's the Oral-B one, the case that you asked, and that's I spent many years at Oral-B and the global strategic part, and there were maybe I can add a little bit about Oral-B. The success story of Oral-B has been always very strong, with the dentists and so on, but there was one point where competition was coming in, about 12 years ago. Competition was coming in, Colgate, Signal, all the major brands were coming in, and because Oral-B were in a premium segment, and then imagine all of a sudden you have all the world competitors coming into at a 10% of your price point. Then what are you going to do? So we're about to lose our markets, lose our faith, and we launched a new product to compete at the entry price point and even go lower because we saw it coming. And with this, we entered the whole market and to become the worldwide number one. And that was, let's say, the global strategy focused on the developing markets and developed markets. US, Europe, the key ones. Everybody goes after that. Colgate, all the ones too. But I had a different strategy also, that I went to developing markets. Southeast Asia, Africa, South America, all the countries, and with a different product portfolio was even lower. And the reason is we didn't want to go sell a cheaper product, because at Gillette we sell always more expensive, better. But this time we need to make our ground solid, and we went throughout the world. And what happened with this is basically we opened up, we entered the whole world, and when competitors came in for the developing markets, it was too late. Oral-B was already the leader with the dentists and market share, and then the retails, everything. So that was one major strategic move for Oral-B, because if that wouldn't have been the case, Oral-B would have been just like any other one of the brands. But today is one of the leading brands in toothbrushing.
But doing that, would that you sacrifice your benefit margin, profit margin?
Oh yes, and that was a strategic also, because normally you always at Oral-B and Gillette, and you always trade up, more expensive, more profit, better benefits, better link it to consumers. The profitability was good. Okay, I cannot talk about profitability. It was still very good, but it was a trade-up strategy that first of all you get at the lower level, basically we beat competition. Colgate, Signal, Crest, we beat competition. That was the objective, because at the end is war, right? If you do marketing, brand, global building. So we got rid of a competition, we entered, and then because we Gillette and was great at trading up, and we trade up to the rechargeable brush, which was the case, because the one that we went in was the battery toothbrush, and I remember there was all kinds of brands from all over the world, battery toothbrushes, even cheaper, but we entered this, and then we trade them up to the rechargeable, because rechargeable is sustainable, is better, and everything, right? So that was it was strategic entering that low price point to bring them up. It was not to devaluate the category. Now, if you look at power brushing today, it's increasing because there's a brand that's leading. That was a nice exercise, and that was a great learning. And of course, the learnings that I've got then, I can utilize today, internationally for startups.
Yeah, great. Because we bought a lot of the Oral-B power toothbrush.
Okay,
that's
great.
They're very expensive actually.
Good. They were. If you would have bought when I was there, when we went to the strategy low and down, you could have probably found a battery brush, but you wouldn't have been happy, and we knew that. Later you move into the rechargeables again, and then of course there are a lot of clinicals, everything to prove that the rechargeable is the best way.
Yeah, indeed. After using my dentist never complained. That's pretty good product, I have to say. Yeah, so thanks for the sharing of Oral-B because that's really famous. That's definitely is the number one in the world. With your experience, so with such an experience, why bring you to Asia? I mean, especially in Taiwan.
Yes.
Do you see any opportunity or things that you need to involve?
Indeed, I mean, most of my life I've worked, like I said, in global roles, and this international world was always where I wanted to be. I feel a bit claustrophobic to be, let's say, working only for one country or one product. I want to be out, and because I originally I grew up in South America and Bolivia, in the U.S. and then in Germany most of my life. I wanted to expand more, and Asia was the next. So I've been coming to Asia for over 12 years now. Throughout, going to China, Hong Kong, and so on, and throughout this time and going through Asia and also Japan, Korea, everywhere, then there was some connection for me with Taiwan. And that the first day that I'll tell you a private story. The first day that I arrived in Taiwan, I went to Sun Moon Lake. No, it was a Lakewood or whatever hospital and hotel in Taipei. And then in the morning I woke up and there was this ceremony. There was this march of with the music. Mm-hmm. And I woke up with the music and I was like, oh my God, this is like a childhood, going back. And I looked out the window and there was a march of the ceremony with the music. And that reminded me of my childhood, and that bonded me a little bit for my childhood being, in Bolivia, the old days, and also the traditional. You have a lot of tradition in Taiwan, very traditional things like the night market. Yeah. And then you have Taipei 101, high tech and traditional. This mixed. You don't find this in the U.S. or Germany or Europe. Bolivia, I have that. So that gave me a little bit of that link that made me feel a little bit homey, although I don't speak the language, nothing, I'm learning now, but that gave me that little homey feeling. That's what, let's say, the trigger. Yeah? And then I start looking into the business aspect and how developed Taiwan really is, and start comparing, and the more I learn, and I know quite a lot about the benefits and the power of Taiwan, comparing to other countries in Asia, I see this IoT, AI, and in the bicycle industry, Taiwan rules the bicycle industry in the world, not manufacturing, all innovation, and nowadays they're even buying European American brands. Also in medtech, the medical field, so it's quite advanced. That was a trigger for me to say, wow, this is interesting. I don't get that much, they say, in such a condensed way in other countries, because also Taiwan is small. And at the same time, I see that a lot of Taiwanese companies, they're struggling out there in the world. They're not recognized, or they're not being seen, because Taiwan, you're amazing at making all these things, but you need to wrap it up. You need to put it in the right way in order to go out and communicate outside to the world, right? Especially if you want to sell outside Taiwan, internationally, U.S., Europe, and so on. There's a certain way you need to have some basic standards to be done in terms of, let's say, special communication also, because once you develop your AI, maybe nobody can tell you better, but you need to communicate that to another, let's say, human, another country, another level. So that is something that Taiwan has room for improvement in order to go and globalize. Basically, in other words, is any product or service coming out of Taiwan going to, let's say, knocking at the door to any US or German or Westerner, in order to be listened, that even the door opens up, you need to speak the same language, sort of like you need to have the same, fulfill those basic expectations. And sometimes it's not there, or the value in Taiwan that I see the improvement is you develop a product or a service and then go straight into sell it. How many containers, how much you're going to buy. You can't go there yet. In between, there is you need to prepare once you have your product or service. You need to, again, wrap it up, communicate it right, properly, depending on the target group and the competition and all these things. Once you have it well prepared, then you can go, and then you will sell. The chance you succeed are higher, and that's what I call doing the homework. You know, the brand and strategy communication homework. Because an AI and all this service or products that Taiwan does, you're already great. And a lot of companies, they invested their time, their money, their effort, their lives, their passion. And then when it comes to, okay, now we need to go international, and they want to go out and start selling, and they're going to see, it's not working. What's happening? More technology. Not happening, not working. More features, more. That's still not working. Why not? And there are others. I'm going to say my colleagues from the U.S. They're amazing marketing people, but sometimes a lot of marketing companies from the U.S. The substance fail is missing. You know, it's amazing everything, but then you look deeper, and I have some cases like that. It's like there's no really deep substance. In Taiwan, you have a lot of substance, but on the top is missing the communication part. You know, Germany is a bit balanced. You know, I think a bit of both. You know, the base of solidity of Germany is quite strong, and the way they communicate also, but also not overly exaggerated to get everybody like emotionally involved and oh my God, I'm gonna get this. You know, but then you get it and then you're disappointed. At the end, you lose, right?
Right.
So it is a good balance, and that's what I see from Taiwan. The potential and what's missing in order to really succeed internationally. Yeah.
Okay, we'll get to that once we go to the end. What's your really suggestion to Taiwan company or the government can do? Because Taiwan have actually been positioned as like OEM, ODM, a research center, you know, a lot, especially for international company point of view. They set up a research center here. They try to really engage to manufacturing. Is through the 12 years, any experience that you actually engaged one Taiwan company that you think is the relative success being bring to the overseas markets or global market, and what have you done to help them, and so they can make a little bit different or the difference for the success that you think it is?
Yeah, I mean, if I look at some big ones, you know, your HTC is a good one. I mean, almost made it, but then it crashed down for some reasons. If you look at Kodak, for example, I mean, Kodak could be an amazing app for photography, but they went bankrupt because they did not do their homework, or sometimes some of the big ones, they're too big high up at the level that they think nobody can get them.
Right.
You know, all of a sudden, boom, it's over, right? For the example, you say some companies that are helping actually in Taiwan. I have two startups that I'm working with since a few years now. One that is, to say, more mature in the marketplace is Breeze Care, an AI air purifier system out of Taiwan. And when I met Albert van Lee, and my good old friend, I call him Van Lee because he lived in Holland, and in Dutch I call Van. He's Albert Lee, I call it Albert Van Lee. That's a running joke between me and him. When we met him, he had this air purifier, artificial intelligence. He can, you know, sense the purifier inside has different sensors of humidity, PM 2.5 and everything, and he gets the data from there, gets data from the outside. For allergy patients, you know, Q&A, what do you have a cat, you don't have a cat, how big is your house, all these things are being put in. And he said, Nelson, I want to sell an international. And I said, okay, we will start looking at it. And we analyzed, we did some strategic workshops with him, really crazy ones. And at the end I came to the conclusion, Albert, wow, no, not yet. You need to win in Taiwan first. Because for that specific market and product, you couldn't succeed. Because in China, for example, there's 700 brands of air purifiers. So now there again comes another one. AI, what is AI? What is the benefit? So the objective was to win in Taiwan, and they have a small affiliate in Holland, and we developed all the brand communication for that specific air purifier, and developed a whole line of air purifiers, different kinds. but the whole core is what I call the guardian angel, the AI guardian angel. Because the AI guardian angel knows what the pollution is outside, inside your house, how you feel, and the guardian angel, especially in Taiwan, was developed also with medical doctors.
Right.
And then you get a warning and say if you have kids with asthma and allergy, and give you a warning and say, hey, the kids should be wearing their mask today, or wow, what a great, wonderful day, go out and run. And then if you feel like if you have allergies and asthma, you're also prone to get ill and so on. So all that communication strategy was developed in order to win in Taiwan, working with medical doctors, being able to clinics, and develop all the portfolio strategy, all the communication. And one success story for Breeze, besides to say the revenue increase, which I cannot mention now, but last year there was a campaign from Honda, the car Honda from Japan, and they had some kind of air purifier, and they wanted to do a promotion with if you buy the car you can get a free air purifier, and of course there were many amazing brands to take, and then we were like the runner-ups, final ones between Honeywell and Breeze, and guess who they took? Breeze.
I think so. Yeah.
Why? Because it was relevant for the marketplace in Taiwan. You just need to go out and look at what the medical doctors are in the practice they're using, and you will find that Breeze is there and not Honeywell for a reason. So that is, let's say, an amazing success story emotionally for the team of Breeze. Besides all the financial benefits that come through, and that's done basically by doing the homework. Like I said, doing all the analysis and many crazy days of workshops with a team, the whole wall full of paper, and finally defining what we do, how we do it, and that is an amazing success story. There's something new coming up with Breeze soon. It's going to come out, I can't say yet, but we have an amazing plan for globalization. I think that's one success story. The other one is BrainNavi. BrainNavi is sort of part of Hsinchu here in Taiwan, and developed the first autopilot navigation surgery robot for brain surgery. Amazing. Already done clinical trials, and work with them basically in all their communication strategy, making sure that we are at the same level like the top medical companies in the world. And if you were to Google Breeze and BrainNavi today, you will find a lot about the great success of BrainNavi in Taiwan, also globally. But because the medical appliance, it takes a long time to get your CE. So, but still, all the pre-marketing there is getting ready to enter the world and being very competitive. Again, BrainNavi, super advanced compared to, let's say, most of the robotic surgeries, because it's the only brain surgery robot that actually autonomously reaches the target that's defined by the doctor with all the sensors and everything. All other robots, even including Da Vinci, which is superly known, it's basically a remote control. It's a high-tech remote control. The surgeon still needs to physically make the movement. Of course, there's sensors and everything. But BrainNavi is the autonomously will achieve the target plan and controlled by the surgeon, which gives you more precision and so on. So again, this is a proof of Taiwan tech, and I don't need to say more than that.
I appreciate your two examples. And the first one is also your friend, right? So it's kind of engage the business in brain. The second one, how you find those good company then?
Oh no, Albert was not my friend.
Not at the beginning.
No. I met him all my trips to Taiwan, and we started talking. And because he worked in Holland, he came from Ztarkbond. And Ztarkbond, he was the head of Europe. So he had that European, let's say, feeling and touch and behavior, because he lived there, I think, 5-6 years. So that's what we started discussing. He knew what I meant. See, he knew what I meant, and then that's how. And BrainNavi, I had a presentation here at the Taipei Tech Arena, and Jerry came. There were like 50 people, and when I do my keynotes, I rather not to do case studies like Oral-B or Gillette or Procter & Gamble or something. That's why in the beginning, because I think it's more important if I do a keynote or presentation to be more relevant to the target. Mm-hmm. And normally what I do is I do a case study, right, because I develop a framework that I use. Right. And I said I want a volunteer in the room, and whoever the volunteer is or two, and I will do the case study on you. I don't need to know who they are, I don't need to know what they do. So, and Jerry, he's really very smart, Dr. Jerry Chen, he left his hand while I do this, and I said, okay, great. So I did the whole 1.5 hours framework presentation and keynote, and I used him as an example. We went through all the strategic thinking and so on. It was all about Brain Navi on the wall, and I never heard about it. Mm-hmm. And then he said, like, wow, this is great, Nelson, and I'm really impressed, and I need to go to the US. I have nothing, and I have the robot. And then we started working with Jerry since July 2019. And in October we had the CNS in San Francisco. Wow. Huge success, yeah. That was how I met them both.
Okay, that's very exciting, huh? So usually it doesn't take you not much time to come up with some so-called suggestion. It seems like you can do a case study right at the site.
Case study, yes, but it's a very, very light. I would say if you have a cappuccino, it's like just looking at the crema. Just go deeper.
Sure. Okay.
Deep. You need to go deeper into the substance.
Sure.
That was, I think, quite impressive for Jerry, because I touched the points that he was looking into and how to structurize his communication. So that's why. But in order to do it properly, need to go deeper. Sure, if you do like a day workshop, you get sort of like a direction where to go and what to watch for. But again, what I always say, you have to do your homework. Yeah. You have to do your homework. If you do your homework, you will win. But you have to know how to do the homework. That's the other thing, you need to do your homework. So I couldn't say just like, oh, here's the solution. I have it right here under my sleeve. No, and I'm never going to tell you should do this and this.
How long usually would take to do some homework?
It depends on the complexity. Mm-hmm. Some cases are, let's say, lighter, and if the team is more advanced and developed, they got the know-how and everything, we can put the things together easier. In some cases, it's longer. So it's difficult to say. It can take difficult to say. Difficult to say.
But people always say especially for the startup, right? They think branding is very expensive from the people because we don't have such a strong people in Taiwan. And secondly, how you do really marketing and branding. Do you have any comment on that? No, it may not be the case, or it's very expensive.
Yeah, it is very expensive, and especially the thing about. You have to define what is marketing, what is marketing, what's branding. Mm-hmm. And honestly, I don't have a word for that. Mm-hmm. Because to develop a brand, or B2B or B2C, or to develop brand strategies, is not digital marketing, it's not, let's say, logo, it's not leaflet, it's not a website. Mm-hmm. It's more strategic than that. And in order to develop, let's say, successful brand and company and shareholder value, it's like the DNA of a company, because at the end of the day, we're not robots. If you do an AI and everything, then you can talk with a robot, machine learning. You don't need strategic marketing. But if you anything to do with in touch with the human, because we have emotions, right? So you need to have that know that you're talking with a human, with the different feelings, emotions, and needs, and function needs, benefit needs, profits, all that stuff. So it's to have that connection from the strategy all the way to your communication, how you do it and how you execute it. So it's quite complex. Mm-hmm. It's like going to the doctor. It's like going to how can I say, any example of any specialist. If you go to a carpenter to make you, let's say, a closet, I could make a closet also, right? Mm-hmm. And that's how they feel. Oh, marketing, I can do design. Yeah, I can do that because it's easy. Mm-hmm. It is not. Mm-hmm. It needs a lot of experience. There's a lot of competences and ways how to develop it, and that's why it's expensive.
Yeah.
And then if you can go to the best advertising company and you will give them something, oh, here's my product, you make me an advertising. They're going to come up with something wonderful, but is that wonderful going to be strategically sustainable? Is it going to work? What about the competition? What about point of difference? What about this? What about that? And I can destroy any concept from any amazing advertising company,
right?
Because there's no strategic homework
Right.
done in the back.
Right.
That's why it's expensive. But and why am I doing here? If it's too expensive, you could ask the question, right?
Right.
It's basically the potential that I see, and there's an investment for my company on the one side, and some of the startups, especially, you know, the let's say the investment they need to put in is minimal, but there's shares going through it, and there's partnerships that come along with that. So that's a business model. You know, within my company, if I look at the ratio of revenue, you know, some of my clients that are big multinationals, you know, they pay the bills,
Right.
but they pay the bills in and out, in and out, in and out.
Right.
You know, with the startups, it's more long-term sustainable. A little bit of that, and a lot of opportunities. Plus, it inspires me a lot to work with startups because it's just so much energy as compared with big global corporates. You know, it's just like too fixed into one system, and it's not as dynamic.
Okay.
And this dynamism I really love from startups.
Yeah, I very agree with you. Talk about a strategy because you have to from all aspects, connect from only one angle, right? So
Yeah.
because there's a lot of deep insight. So like, thank you. Today you actually interviewed 6 company, Taiwan startup. Do you see anything shortage that you have observed, or your experience in Asia in general? Do you see anything that need a big improvements, or something, you know, yeah, that's good technology, but something missing? That may not just the people, right? Is it something else that's like more fundamental you observe here?
The biggest thing that I would say is the communication strategy, their strategy in terms of communicating, or which you can call a brand strategy, you can call it marketing strategy, whatever, but that is missing in some cases. Some is there, but it's not structured. Today we've seen some cases they were not structured, and some of them were they had a product but words in it, but every word has to have a meaning. You know, so that is the biggest thing is in order to succeed, anything that's been sold to another human being, it needs to be done properly. You need to define your right target group. You know, who's your target? What are the functional needs of your target? What are the emotional needs of your target? What is your offering? What it isn't? And how are you going to do it? How are you going to communicate it? If how does it look compared to your competition? How are you different? You know, sometimes you may look, just for the sake of it, look so different that you don't seem to be playing in the same field, and then you lose. So again, that is what I see missing, and preparing and adapting maybe to the Western world, because in the Western world they would expect to see some basic fundamentals. That's something that and it's difficult also if you are in Taiwan, you live in Taiwan, you want to go internationally. How do the other ones look at it once they get it? You know, same thing with me. If I were to develop a Taiwanese brand by myself out of Germany, I would never make it. Honestly, you know, I couldn't do it. You know, I simply couldn't do it. I'd fail. You know, unless it's something, you know, that everybody loves to have a German something, you know, maybe that. But that is the same situation. Not the one is better or worse. It's just different, and the expectations from, especially talking with some clients or whoever going to buy a product or service, they have expectation, minimum standards, to make them feel comfortable, to make them feel gain that trust. Yeah, so okay, it's already in the same level, and then you get deeper into the different specs.
Yeah, from that, because you have like why, who, what, and how, right? So those kind of circle things, right?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's there, but then you don't know how to fill the content sometimes, right? So some say, yeah, you try to start with a why and then put why, and then would that kind of like iterated way is a methodology that you like to impose, right? So like,
well, I've been using this for my whole life, and actually learned this out of Gillette, especially Procter & Gamble, and in the last years when I got out of the big corporates, and of course I learned that's the tools that they gave us in similar formats. And then I said, Jesus, how can I use this for my, let's say for the startups or the clients? Because most of the clients that I work with, let's say deeper, are not Procter & Gamble's or the Unilevers or the Coca-Colas,
right.
Because they have teams, 30, 40, 50, 100 people, like experts. They know their stuff, they have their methods, but not everybody else has. So I made that framework to simplify. So the why is the analysis part. It makes you think, why, and you look at it. What about your category? You do an analysis first, right? Why, who, target group, what is your offering, and how do you do it? And the why, you analyze your category. What about the categories? Is it growing? Is it increasing? What is the category standards? What about competition? Deep analysis in competition. What are your points of parity, inferiority, superiority to competition? What are your strengths, your weaknesses? So you look at category competition, you look at your customers. Who is the decision maker that would make the product? Who are the consumers? The final user. What about the company inside? What are our strengths? What do we have or we don't have? You can use BCG matrix, you can use SWOT, you can do anything, any tool that you've learned in the past, you can use an analysis by you put all on the why. And when you do that, just by analyzing this from different angles and taking your communication, split into different slices, angles, you see that they analyze everything from all angles and aspects. And then while you do that, it gets very transparent. For example, if you know against competition, that there's an empty space, they have a weakness and we have a strength, then you're gonna start talking about that. You can build that up, right? As compared if you just don't do it and you start saying, and everybody else says the same thing. And I've seen so many companies, and they're like, their benefits are the same like everybody else. So why should I get that?
Right.
So that is the why. The who is used a lot. Basically in digital marketing, which is great, but that needs to be looked at always very strategically. Yeah, not necessarily also who's actually converting and the conversion rate, but also look at a little bit higher. And then the what is basically you say, okay, now what's my offering? Okay, I got in the case an air purifier. What do I have? What I don't have, and what do I have in terms of assets? If it's a car, I have a car. I don't have a bicycle, I have a car, and then what is around that? And on the how, then you. When you know that, then you can actually make your communication, your strategy, what is first, second, third, then it's more clear because you did your homework. 80% is the homework, the why, who, what, and then the how is 20%. But what I've seen so many times is the other way around. Flip it. How? Do it first. And then they wonder, oh my God, it didn't work. Well, I tried marketing, it didn't work.
Right.
I said, okay, what are we gonna do about it, right? How was it? What failed? Did you do your homework? Did you look at it? Did you look at that? I said, oh wow, we didn't look at that. That's the framework.
Okay.
That's the framework, and this framework works for everything. Actually, I was asked by my Taiwanese friends to write a book. I'm not a book writer. I have the draft already. But the script. Yeah, but I'm not a writer. Maybe one day I'll finish it. Maybe one day I'll finish it.
So much experiences here, right? So many experiences that you have. All right, so that's the kind of like to conclude, because you had the 12 experience in Asia and as well as Taiwan. Any recommendation that you like to make for the company, at a different level, and also governments, right? So you probably experienced some government experiences as well.
Yeah, my advice to the companies is you have to do your homework. And let's say if you don't get across to see my framework, try some framework, but stick to something. But you have to do your homework. Look at all category competition, find out how you're going to be. So you need to do your homework in order to achieve something. That is, let's say, one. It needs to be done, and it can be done. Sometimes, and most of the time, after let's say I have a full day orientation workshop, the people, companies, they get discouraged. They say, oh my God, how am I gonna do that? That's how complex it is. You know what? Yeah, it is complex. Because you thought marketing is like, oh, fun thing to do, nice colors,
Yeah.
No, it isn't. It's also like a sort of like a science. So need to do the homework. And in terms of Taiwan, I think what I see in Taiwan when I talk to, and I'm actually doing a research with some CEOs, high-level management, because I'm very curious because I come to Taiwan a lot, and then somebody asks, what are you doing there, Then I just start asking them, what about Taiwan? When it comes to what's your perception, what is it, and it's quite vague. They think about Korea, Japan, technology, Singapore, even about AI and robotics. They think about Singapore, and I'm thinking, wait a minute, Taiwan should be out there with robotics and so on. It's their perception, I tell them things like, did you know that Google has the second biggest development center in Taiwan? That's a big eye opener for a lot of them. Like, what? Because everybody knows Google, right? Everybody looks up to Google and says, what, in Taiwan? But why? Because they got the IoT talent. They know they have the talent in there, basically, right? And then in chip production, Taiwan is leading. And if I was actually reading an article the other day with the Financial Times, if Taiwan gets sick with, let's say, not be able to manufacture the chips, then the whole world is going to suffer. But those are the things that are not really present in the minds of top managers and industry people in Europe and the US. It's not obvious yet, and that's something that I think Taiwan should be working harder at, having a DNA communication strategy for Taiwan, and to make Taiwan really to show actually what it is, what it does, and without having to create something, because you got plenty.
But do you think that's the company's role or the government's role to do that?
Both. I think the companies have to do the homework, prepare themselves right to go out there and have the right message, the right arguments, and also the government to have maybe the right focus on communicating Taiwan as a point of difference, an edge in something, that is from the industry, which is pure economics and money and revenues for Taiwan country. First of all, for the businesses that pay the tax and make Taiwan great. So that is something that I would do if they would ask me to build the Taiwan brand. Then that's also like a brand, right?
Right.
That is something that
you talk about the sophistication, right, for strategy. What happened? We don't have such a talent, because the way we educate, the way we actually be positioning in the world, and we are so familiar with doing something. Also, the global familiar with, right? Yeah. So for these kind of the shortage in terms of the talents that we need to get the advice, for example, from Nelson. Did that really helpful? And of course, then there's a trust, right? So how we really do it, because sometimes you kind of make fundamental change. Sometimes people kind of hesitate to make a big changes. And I know it's a big problem, big question, right? So
it is like, oh, does it exist? What does it really mean? Maybe it takes too much money, or others can do it, we can't. I mean, what you can do, the Taiwan industry, startups or SMEs, if I look at the country that is doing, let's say, really well on this, is the US. And most marketing consultants or people, they know their stuff. They really comes, a lot of the techniques that I have also come a lot from the US. Very, very to the point, very simplified, very effective. In Germany, we tend to complicate things. In Germany.
I know. I went there. I said, after the decision, said, no, we are not studied enough. We cannot make a decision without a proper study.
Exactly.
And American like to take action items.
That is the way. So I will look into it. Maybe follow up some of the how the American companies are doing, how they communicate. Except of maybe working with me with my team. They can look how the successful ones are. sometimes it takes them just to look at the major competitor in their field and why are they number one,
Okay.
and understand but no copycat, boo-ha. No,
Right, not to copy.
You have to own identity, but it's still benchmark. And why? How does it work? Or maybe they look at similar parallel categories and how are they doing it, and try to find the link to it, and how can I make my own communication.
Okay.
That's what I would recommend.
Okay. So maybe let's conclude. What can you really help us? You think from the experience that you have, and also you have a company quite successful experiences. What do you how do you expect to help us, and what can we actually engage with you?
Yeah, basically I can help the Taiwanese companies, not only startups, SMEs, and I'd also love to get my hands into some major Taiwanese companies that are maybe struggling outside to succeed. Again, it's all about doing the homework. And sometimes you do your homework and you realize, oh my God, I'm not going to succeed, so you need to rethink. I saw here at the Taipei Tech Arena, fail fast. There's a saying printed. Let me see what it said. Think fast, fail fast. There's a printout here. It says, I'm going to quote this: fail often, so you will succeed sooner. And I think the other way. And I actually posted this in my Instagram. Do your homework and you will succeed. It's a different mindset.
Yeah.
Yes, it's good to fail. Yes, be proud of failing, but why do you want to fail?
If you do homework.
If you do your homework, just like at school, right? If you did your homework, you got okay grades. But if you did a lot of homework, you were the best student. It's the same. But then there's the question, what homework you need to do? And then there's the question, what now? Once I, let's say, write up my book and so on, then I'm thinking about doing, also been asked to do a video training specifically for Taiwan. I've been pushing this for a year already. Then I think they can still look and watch that, what I mean. But in the meanwhile, they can just contact me and through EAPS, find some kind of way that we can help them. Or maybe do like a forum or like a class for them, because I do also a lot of lectures in universities as a guest lecturer. I'm not a professor. So I can try to do that, helping the little that I can. And if somebody asks a question, if they find me, look me up either whatever the social medium, I'm happy to give an answer. It takes me a minute or 2 minutes to give an advice. I'm happy to do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. So we'll be okay to conclude that if you do sufficient homework, you will be success. Right?
Exactly.
Thank you. Thanks, Nelson, to come to our podcast.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah.